Hello friends, welcome to EduTap. If you can hear me, if the audio is clear and the video is clear, please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. My name is Avinash Agarwal. We are here to talk about the descriptive component of economics and social issues, which will be appearing in RBI Grade B 2021 paper. I hope that you have gone through the syllabus. I hope that you have seen what are the changes that they have made. We are here to discuss poverty alleviation and employment generation, which is an important chapter of our syllabus. Please give me a thumbs up in the comment section if you can hear me. If the audio is clear and the video is clear, please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. In this particular video, what we are going to do is that we are going to take an overview of this entire chapter. I'm going to explain to you that what are the things that you need to know. So far as this chapter is concerned, we are also going to discuss the art of answer writing so that you are actually able to attempt questions in a beautiful manner in the examination and you are able to score marks in the examination. I'll also be providing you with an homework question at the end of this session, and I'm going to request all of you present to please answer the questions that I'm going to ask you in this particular session. So before we move ahead, I request all of you to please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. You can hear me, the audio is clear and the video is clear, right? Shri, as well as Jayant, as well as all others who are participating in this live session, I request you all to please be kind enough. Good evening to all of you. I'm just waiting for some confirmations. Right, everything looks in order, everything is good to go. So let us move ahead. I would like to point out to you that we are having this YouTube channel, EduTap's YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for regular updates, for live sessions, for various videos which will be helpful for you in your preparation for various examinations, RBI, SEBI, NABARD and other examinations. Whatever videos we are presenting to you on our YouTube channel, free content related to that is provided through our Telegram channel. So become a part of EduTap's Telegram channel so that you are receiving all the notes, PDFs and everything that you need for your preparation, right? So keep this in mind. We would like to share with you with a lot of joy that we have been able to produce results consistently thanks to the hard work of our aspirants, thanks to all the ecosystem that we have provided to the aspirants for their preparation for RBI, NABARD as well as SEBI examinations. Consistent results have been produced. Very recently, the NABARD results were announced and we were very happy to note that out of 69 seats, 65 students who have been selected are from EduTap, right? So that is really encouraging for our entire team. We have worked very hard. The students have worked very hard, and that is what we want to continue to do going ahead. So do join EduTap if you are really wanting to prepare well for these examinations. We will be able to take you in the right direction. That is something that we have been doing, and that is something that we would want to do with the grace of God. So let us begin. So there is RBI Grade B, NABARD Grade A, NABARD Grade B, SEBI Grade A, EPFO, AO, EO, all these courses are available. Various varieties of these courses are available. Standalone courses, combo courses are available. You should check everything out on our website and enroll into these courses. So let us begin our discussion with poverty alleviation. I hope that everybody has joined us, right? So we'll be discussing the component of poverty alleviation, that what is it that we need to study in poverty alleviation so that we are able to tackle questions that may appear from this component. And this is a very important component of our examination. So before we look at a question, I would want to show to you what is poverty alleviation all about, what is employment generation all about. And in a matter of few minutes, I'll be able to paint a complete summary in front of you. In a matter of few minutes, I'll be able to give you a complete bird's eye view of everything associated with poverty alleviation, and I hope to give you some confidence that you can tackle this examination, you can cover this vast syllabus even at the very last moment of this examination, because RBI has basically thrown a bomb at us. They have changed the syllabus without telling us beforehand that they are going to do that, and we have only a few weeks to prepare for this, and it is still something which can be done. I believe in it. I stand by it that it can be done, and EduTap is going to help you in doing that. But how exactly? I am going to discuss that with you. Now, when we talk about poverty alleviation, we need to start our theoretical discussion by defining poverty. You should know the definition of poverty. That what is poverty? It is maybe deprivation of something. Maybe we do not have income. Maybe we do not have a household. Maybe we do not have a formal job. Maybe we do not have assets. Maybe we are not educated. Maybe we are not healthy. Maybe we are not having access to basic things such as roti, kapda and makan. Right? So the idea is that we need to know the definition of poverty. We know the different types of poverty that exist. We need to know what is relative poverty. We need to know what is absolute poverty, right? So the relative poverty is like, I am poorer than, let us say, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, right? So that is relative poverty. And what is absolute poverty? That, I do not have even the income or the power or the strength to fulfill my basic needs. So these are important concepts. Why am I discussing this with you? Because they can ask you a simple question in the examination, that write a note on different types of poverty. So you should be able to tell the examiner that there are different types of poverty. There is relative poverty. You should be able to define what is relative poverty. Then there is something called as absolute poverty. You should be able to define what is absolute poverty. Then there is another very important angle, that poverty is a multidimensional problem. What is the meaning of this? This is a very famous question which appears in the examination, that poverty is a multidimensional problem. Write a note on that. As simple as that. Okay. When we talk about poverty, we usually think about lack of income. But it is not just lack of income, or it's not just low income or no income which leads to poverty, or which is basically a manifestation of poverty. Poverty is manifested in various different dimensions. Like I explained to you, that what kind of housing, what kind of job, what kind of meals am I having, what kind of food is it that am I eating, what kind of education can I afford for my children, what kind of healthcare can I afford for my children, what kind of access to drinking water can I afford to my family, right? So there are various different dimensions of poverty that needs to be looked at, right? So you need to know all these things, right? कि आपको ये सब चीजें समझ में आनी चाहिए, आप बता पाने चाहिए कि हाँ, these are the various different definitions of poverty. This is the definition of poverty as per World Bank. This is the definition of poverty as per IMF. And that is something, if you can do that then you are in the right direction. आपको conceptual clarity है. Then the other important dimension that we need to know about is that we need to know how is it exactly that we are measuring poverty. How is it that India is measuring poverty, let us say, from independence downwards? How are international organizations such as World Bank measuring poverty, right? What are the different indices used for measurement of poverty? What is the methodology adopted in India to measure poverty? These are very, very important concepts that we need to know. For example, there is something called as Human Poverty Index. Then there is something called as Multidimensional Poverty Index. These are regularly in news. The examiner can very well ask you to write a note on any of these, or they can ask you a generic question on measurement of poverty as to how should poverty be measured, right? So you should be able to tell, okay, that at the global level these indices are there. At India level we have a poverty line. How is India's poverty line defined? It is defined in terms of calories. 2400 calories for rural areas, 2100 calories for urban areas. These are the things that you may have already read at this stage of preparation, or you should read. And everything that I'm going to discuss with you now, we have obviously provided it as a part of our course. The course has been very beautifully designed to encompass everything that I'm talking about. How is it that we exactly estimate poverty? In post-independence era, how is it that India has been estimating poverty? What are the different committees which have been estimating poverty? So you should know that, okay, there is Alag committee, there is Tendulkar committee, and so on and so forth. So what we need to be very clear about is that what is the kind of approach that we are having towards measurement of poverty. The next very important thing that can be asked to us in the examination is that what has been the trend of poverty in India, let us say after independence, or let us say from the times that we launched the liberalization, privatization, globalization programs in 1991. So very famously they have been asking these questions, that tell me the trend of poverty. Let us say from independence, or let us say from the launch of economic reforms, right? So you should know what is the trend of poverty. How has total poverty, how much was total poverty in India at the time of independence? That statistics should be known to us. To what extent have we been able to reduce it? To what extent have we been able to reduce rural poverty? To what extent have we been able to reduce urban poverty, right? And what has been the impact of growth on poverty alleviation? For example, let me tell you that in India before 1991 reforms, right? So there was one type of growth that we were experiencing, right? And after 1991 we are experiencing a different kind of growth. Quantitatively as well as qualitatively, there is a difference in the growth that we are experiencing in India before 1991 and after 1991, right? So before 1991 the growth was very low, right? After 1991 growth is relatively higher, right? Before 1991 rural areas were having one type of growth, urban areas were having another type of growth, right? And after 1991 the characteristics of growth or the composition of growth has changed, right? Before 1991 services sector was nowhere to be seen in the picture. right? So far as contributing to the growth of the economy is concerned. After 1991, services sector has started contributing a lot in terms of poverty alleviation. Urban growth has started to contribute a lot in terms of poverty alleviation. So the idea is that we should be able to describe that how exactly growth has led to poverty alleviation, right? We should be able to present figures that, okay, this is how we have been able to make a dent on poverty thanks to the growth that we are enjoying. Very famously, they have been asking that what are the causes of poverty. They can ask you any type of question basically related to poverty, but what we sincerely believe is that if you have this knowledge that what are the different types of poverty, what are the measurements of poverty, what are the trends of poverty in India, what are the causes of poverty, you will be able to answer almost any question related to poverty, right? So what are the causes of poverty? Rapid growth of population is definitely a cause of poverty, right? Because the population is high, right? So there is a lot of competition for scarce resources, as a result of which many of us are not able to access those resources. Therefore, I may be a little poorer than you, right? There is underdeveloped structure of the economy, in the sense that the sectoral composition of the economy is not as it should be. Like, for example, we have not been able to give a push to the manufacturing sector. Our infrastructure is creaking, our infrastructure is not adequate, right? There is inequality in income and asset ownership, because of which, let us say, my income is lower, so I am poorer because I do not have assets, therefore I am poorer. Maybe you have income, maybe you have assets, therefore you are richer. What is the asset that I want? I probably want land, right? I want probably soft skills, right? That is also an asset, right? So if we are having inequalities in income and asset ownership, obviously it will be a result of power, it will result into poverty. Chronic unemployment and underemployment is a cause of poverty. Again and again I am out of job, again and again I am sitting idle, I do not have a source of income, therefore that is a problem. Inflation can also cause poverty, because if things become relatively expensive and my income is relatively small, so I may not be able to afford everything that I need. Therefore, there is a possibility that I may be pushed below the line of poverty, right? Because my meager income is not able to satisfy my demand for, let us say, various essential goods that I need to purchase. And if those essential goods become expensive, I just become poorer by that much, right? Lack of capital and entrepreneurship can also be a reason for cause of, or can be a cause of poverty, in the sense that we have to be able to deploy capital, we have to be able to sort of generate enterprises, or we should be able to create enterprises which can create jobs, right? So if I have to create an enterprise, I need capital for creating that enterprise, and that enterprise then should be able to create job, right? So you need an entrepreneur to take the risk, and you need the capital so that the entrepreneur can take the risk. In India, do we have sufficient amount of capital and sufficient amount of entrepreneurship? Agar hota hai, to we would have created jobs, right? The fact that we have not been able to create as many jobs as we would have liked to create means कि जितना investment होना चाहिए, जितना capital होना चाहिए, शायद उतना नहीं है. There are various social factors for being reasons of poverty, right? What are the social factors? Caste system can be cited as a reason, right, of a large section of Indian society living in very poor state of affairs, in a very poor condition. So वो आपको बताना आना चाहिए. Colonial exploitation has been a cause of poverty in India, that all the wealth of India was sucked away by Britishers, right? As a result of which, the time when they left our country, we were in a very difficult situation, right? Climatic factors are also reasons behind poverty. There are certain regions in India which recurringly face drought, which recurringly face floods, which recurringly face all these kinds of extreme weather events, or geographical factors. If I am, let us say, situated in a very difficult terrain, I am, let us say, situated in the middle of a jungle, or I am situated on top of a hill, right? So automatically the economic activity over there is lesser. So that can be a cause of poverty. So there are various different causes of poverty that we have discussed as a part of our very elaborate notes that we have provided. And all these causes you should be able to understand, and you should be able to cite in the examination. What can be the measures to reduce poverty, right? So obviously you need to be able to tell that what are the various poverty alleviation programs that India has launched right since independence downward. So you need to link this with various 5-year plans, that okay, in the third 5-year plan we did this, in the fourth 5-year plan we did this, in the fifth 5-year plan we did this, in the sixth 5-year plan we did this, right? What is the role of public distribution system, the PDS system that we have, to reduce poverty? Thanks to the PDS, at least the food grains are cheaper for me. I am having access to food grains, right, which are cheaply available. So at least that much amount of help I am receiving. right? What is the role of employment generation in reducing poverty? Over here you can think about Manrega. Over here you can think about Prime Minister's employment generation program, right? So you need to link. This is a chapter which has a very deep linkage with current affairs. So you should be able to link that, okay, what are the present schemes that the government has launched, right? So as to be able to reduce poverty. Right. So is there something called as National Rural Livelihood Mission? Is there something called as National Urban Livelihood Mission? Is there something called as Deen Dayal Upadhyay scheme? Right. So what are the various schemes that have been launched by the government of India, by governments of state, you may say, right, to be able to generate employment? How can a basic income program help? We have talked about universal basic income in current affairs for a longish period of time, that you know that every Indian should have a certain amount of universal basic income, यानी कि हर इंडियन के खाते में भारत सरकार को एक स्मॉल अमाउंट ऑफ मनी ट्रांसफर कर देना चाहिए. चलो हर इंडियन के खाते में नहीं भी करा तो एटलीस्ट लेट अस से 66% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन के खाते में कर दो, दोज हु आर लिविंग बिलो पॉवर्टी लाइन और नियर द पॉवर्टी लाइन और जस्ट अबाउट द पॉवर्टी लाइन, right? So identify the beneficiaries and you transfer some amount of income in their bank accounts, right? So that they can at least have a basic minimum standard of living. So the idea that I'm trying to paint in front of you is that when we talk about poverty alleviation, we should be able to understand that what are the various measures that have been taken to reduce poverty, and all these measures have been discussed in detail as a part of EduTap's course. Why is it that we are still talking about poverty? We are still talking about poverty because our poverty alleviation programs have been ineffective. They have not produced the results that they should have produced, but that doesn't mean that they have produced no results. They have produced some results. We have been able to reduce poverty. Nobody can deny that. But the fact of the matter is that still probably 20% of India's population is still living below poverty line, and 20% of our huge population is huge. The number is huge. Why? Because of unequal distribution of assets. I do not have land, right? Most of the farmers, most of the tillers are not the owners of their lands, or they are having very small amount of land, right? Insufficient resource allocation. Poverty is a huge problem, and I have contributed or I have allocated a small resource towards poverty alleviation. That is a problem, राइट? बिकॉज अगर मेरे को पॉवर्टी से जंग लड़नी है तो मेरे को उतना रिसोर्स देना पड़ेगा जितना बड़ा मेरा एनिमी है, एंड आई एम नॉट डूइंग दैट, एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ विच आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिड्यूस पॉवर्टी. There is administrative apathy, right? That yes, the administration is not bothered, the officials are not bothered, maybe they have some kind of mental blocks, maybe they are not very well trained, maybe they do not have the skills, maybe they do not have the motivation, for whatever reasons. There are failures of scheme. Government has been launching scheme after scheme after scheme after scheme, right from Indira Gandhi downwards. We have been talking about Garibi Hatao, right? But have we been able to really hataofy the Garibi? Not really. Why? Probably our schemes have failed. Maybe because of there is a failure of trickle down theory. We thought that if we can generate growth in the economy, automatically the lowest strata of society, automatically the bottommost strata of society will be able to benefit from that growth, right? But that did not happen. We realized that that did not happen, and probably in the 10th plan or the 9th plan we realized that okay, this is not working. Okay, so we need to do something about it. We need to have a direct attack on poverty. Are you getting my point? Right? So incorrect identification of beneficiaries, that is also a problem. So if I'm running a poverty alleviation program, that is one thing. Identifying who is really poor and ensuring that they and only they get the benefits of that program, that is a wholly different thing altogether. Only very recently, since the JAM Trinity was put into place, right? जनधन, आधार एंड मोबाइल का जो लिंकेज करवाकर जैम ट्रिनिटी को हमने इन प्लेस रखा. नाउ probably we have the ability where we can accurately pinpointedly identify who is really poor and ensure that they are receiving the benefit of schemes of, let us say, government of India or government of various states. So until approximately 65 years of independence, we were not having that capability, and now we have this capability. So essentially our poverty alleviation programs were probably not very efficient, maybe because we were not able to identify the beneficiaries. There is this problem of overpopulation, right? जरूरत से ज्यादा हमारी population है for various reasons. Corruption as well as modern digital divides. Now what is the modern digital divide? Now to be able to study in the present times or to be able to do a job in present times, probably I should have a certain amount of skills, right? Probably I should have access to maybe a Wi-Fi or maybe a computer or maybe a laptop or maybe all of these things so that I can effectively study or work. Now if I don't have this, I automatically will be left behind in the race. So these are the reasons why probably our poverty alleviation programs have failed. What can be done? so far as poverty alleviation is concerned. We have to find a solution for rural areas in rural areas. तो अगर rural area में poverty है, so we need to find a solution within rural area itself, right? So we need to accelerate rural poverty reduction by developing rural areas, by creating jobs in rural areas, by creating assets in rural areas. We obviously need more and better jobs. You can talk about the production linked incentive scheme that the government of India has recently launched. Why has PLI scheme been launched? Because government of India wants to push development of various manufacturing sectors in India. When various manufacturing sectors are getting a booster from the government, and let us say that they are able to develop in India, they are able to create jobs in India, will not that be very good? Because we have seen very clearly that lack of jobs, somewhere we have written over here that lack of jobs, or chronic unemployment or underemployment, is one of the causes of poverty. So if you can create more and better jobs, that will be very, very good. We need to focus on women and scheduled tribe. Women comprise 50% of India's population. Scheduled tribes comprise approximately 8% of India's population. And these are some of the most deprived sections of society. So we need to really focus upon this vulnerable section of society, which has clearly been left behind in the developmental process. So if we can focus upon them, we will be able to ensure that we are targetedly reducing poverty. We have to create good locations within our country where entrepreneurship can thrive, where economic activity can thrive. We have to improve the human development outcomes of poor. Now, if you look at this entire picture that I have painted in front of you, and I would urge you to take a screenshot of this, you will be able to appreciate that if you have this entire thing in your hand, you have the ability to understand everything that I have discussed. And we are very, you can write about this. Each and every point can be elaborated by you in, let us say, 20 words. Right? So unequal distribution of assets pe you should be able to write, let us say, 25 words. Insufficient resource allocation pe you should be able to write 25 powerful words. Administrative apathy pe you should be able to write 25 powerful words, right? Failure of schemes ke upar you should be able to write powerful 20 words, right? So if based on each and every of these points you have the ability to write 20-25 words, then whatever question that comes in front of you in the examination, you will be able to tackle it by and large. Because what will they ask you? India would define poverty. What do you understand by poverty? How do you measure poverty? Have we been able to reduce poverty? By how much have we been able to reduce poverty? What is the cause of poverty? How to reduce poverty? What are the steps that have been taken to reduce poverty? Why have those steps failed? What is it that we should do to reduce poverty? Iske alawa, what will they ask you? They cannot ask you anything fundamentally different from this. Right? They can go narrow, they can become very focused, they can become very specific. They can probably ask you that tell me exactly how Manrega will help in reducing poverty. They can probably ask you that tell me exactly how Skill India will help me in reducing poverty. That is another thing, right? But if you have this basic framework with you, right, there is a very good possibility that almost any and every question, generic wala question that can be asked in the examination, you will be able to answer that in the examination. And that is what we at EduTap we have been doing. As a part of our course, we have explained each and every of these things in great and beautiful details so that you are able to answer questions in the examination. So I hope that you have gotten a very clear picture of poverty alleviation. So if this is understandable to you, right, please give me a thumbs up in the comment section. I have not encouraged any chat so far, right? I have not asked anybody to say anything. I have not asked anybody to ask me any doubts because I wanted you to focus upon the lecture, right? So everybody who is a part of this particular live chat, if you all have understood, please take a screenshot. Then this is what you need to develop. अगर आपके पास I encourage students with whomever I am able to have a chat directly. I encourage students to create a précis out of our notes. So we are going to provide you, as a matter of fact, for this chapter we have provided a fodder material of 53 pages to you of 19,000 words. 19,000 शब्दों का 53 पेजों का हमने आपको नोट प्रोवाइड करा है. एंड आपको वो नोट को केवल एक ही बार पढ़ने का मौका मिलेगा बिफोर एग्जामिनेशन, राइट? Because we are going to provide you very detailed notes for all chapters, and once you read it, create a précis. Once you read it, create a précis. So you have read causes of poverty, create a précis. You have read how to reduce poverty, create a précis. And how to create a précis, half the job I have already done it for you. Okay, these are the major reasons of poverty, and you should be able to elaborate upon these reasons in the examination. So that is how you need to approach this particular aspect of examination. right? Atulya Nair, Asha Gupta, as well as everybody else who is watching these sessions, it is my sincere request that please give some comments so that I can understand that, okay, you all are understanding that, okay, this is how we need to approach. Now, let us take the discussion ahead towards the idea of employment generation. What is it that we need to study so far as employment generation is concerned? Okay, so far as employment generation is concerned, again, you need to start your preparation, or you need to start reading from what are the types of unemployment, right? So there is structural unemployment, frictional unemployment, natural unemployment, cyclical unemployment, seasonal unemployment, voluntary unemployment, involuntary unemployment, vulnerable unemployment. So you should obviously be knowing that, okay, these are the different types of unemployment that we can face. Your examiner can ask you this question, that what are the different types of unemployment. So very clearly you should know the definitions related to this, right? So that if they ask you actually in the examination, you are able to answer it. Next, you should be able to, they can ask you that what are the causes of unemployment? Why is it that India is facing unemployment? So what are the reasons? What are the most probable causes? One, slow growth of GDP. Since the GDP is growing slow, right? So the production is not increasing. If production is not increasing, employment will not get created. If employment is not getting created, that will lead to unemployment. Rapid changes in technology, right? And many a times technology becomes such that it does not generate as many jobs, right? So rapid changes in technology is a problem, and technology replacing human efforts is a problem, right? Lack of capital, again we have discussed lack of capital when we were talking about poverty alleviation, so you understand. We had discussed overpopulation when we were talking about poverty, so you understand that, okay, there are very small number of jobs which are there, or even if there are a good number of jobs, but the population burden is so high, so huge, that we are not able to provide employment to all those who are seeking employment. Low levels of education is a problem, or low levels of skills is a problem, or inadequate education or inadequate skill sets is a problem. Let us say that I am a manufacturer and I want to give you a job, but you do not possess the skills, you do not possess the required education, then how is it that exactly am I able to give you a job? I will not be able to give you a job, right? So that is a problem. Poverty is a problem. Poverty is a cause of unemployment. Why? Because if I am poor, therefore I may not be healthy, therefore I may not be educated, therefore I may not possess the right skill set, therefore I may not possess the right contacts, as a result of which I may not be able to secure a job, right? Moreover, poor performance of agriculture is a problem, right? In India, right, agriculture sector is contributing to a lot to disguise unemployment, right? So that is a problem. That why is it that agriculture sector, which is not been able to create jobs, maybe had we been able to create value addition in agriculture, had we been able to support industries related to agriculture, had agriculture been diversified, had agriculture been export के हिसाब से competitive, probably agriculture sector itself would have created more and more meaningful jobs. We have a problem of jobless economic growth. Yes, India has been experiencing fast economic growth. India has been experiencing double-digit economic growth. But have we been able to create the jobs that we wanted to create? Is our services sector creating as many jobs as we need? And the answer is no. So when we are experiencing economic growth, right, so there is apparently no pressure upon the government, right? But that economic growth is jobless in nature, and various examination bodies in India have been asking questions on jobless economic growth for past 20 plus years, that India has been experiencing jobless economic growth, elaborate. India has been experiencing jobless economic growth, elaborate. So you should be able to elaborate. Joint family system is one of the reasons for unemployment. So even if I am unemployed, but since I'm a part of a joint family, therefore the joint family will take care of me. It is the duty of the family to take care of me. Therefore, even if I'm not employed, it is fine. And rush for government jobs creates a lot of voluntary unemployment in India. You can take up employment, you can become productive, but no, you want to appear for civil services examinations for 6 times, 8 times, 9 times, 12 times, right? So you are not taking up employment. Why? Because anyhow you want to be in government jobs only, therefore you are not ready to take employment, right? So these are the causes, these are the major causes why we are having unemployment in India. Now what do you think? What are the consequences of unemployment, right? There will be an increase in poverty because of unemployment. There will be an increase in inequality because of unemployment. This is very obvious. If I am not having a job, I will not have income, and if I am not having income, probably I'll be poor. If I'm not having a job and you are having a job, so you'll be having an income and I will not be having an income. That means that there will be inequality. If I am not having an employment, if I am not having employment, I will not have access to good income. If I do not have access to good income, probably my living standards will be low, right? Probably I will have lesser access to healthcare. right? There will be social costs of unemployment. Since I am bekar, right, I have nothing to do, right? So you know, an idle mind is a devil's workshop, right? खाली दिमाग शैतान का घर होता है, राइट? तो कल को दंगा फसाद होएगा तो मैं सबसे पहले जाकर पार्टिसिपेट करूंगा कि मेरे पास कुछ करने धरने को तो है नहीं, राइट? बेकार बैठा हूं तो वही सब कर लेता हूं, राइट? एंड देन देयर आर अदर, सो आई मे टेक अप अल्कोहल, I may get addicted to drugs, I may start, you know, inflicting violence upon my family members. So there are social costs related to unemployment. Loss of national output. India could have produced so much amount of goods and services, but India is producing only so much amount of goods and services. Why? Because there is unemployment. Because we have a resource, which is, let us say, manpower is a resource, but we are not able to use that resource. Therefore, we are not able to produce the output that is required. And then there is a fiscal cost. There is a cost to the government of India. How? If employment would have been generated, let us say, government would have probably earned more by way of personal income tax collection. Government may have earned more by way of, let us say, various indirect taxes, because when you have a job, you have an income, you spend that income, so that leads to generation of indirect taxes for the government, right? Let us say that since now there is so much unemployment, government may have to give some kind of unemployment benefit. So by way of income or by way of revenue, government is losing because it is not able to collect as many taxes as it could have collected. And by way of creating job, by way of you know, supporting expenditure, government is spending more in terms of unemployment benefit, right? For example, this Atal Bimit Vyakti Kalyan Yojana, this new scheme that the government of India has launched. What is this scheme? Unemployment benefit, Atal Bimit Vyakti Kalyan Yojana, right? That is an expenditure for the government, right? It is a fiscal cost. So if we do not have sufficient employment in our country, it has all these consequences. So you should be able to understand these consequences and highlight these consequences. What are the various trends in unemployment? They can ask you this question, right? And I'm telling you again and again, we have discussed all of these things in detail as a part of our course in EduTap, right? You should join our course, right? So what are the trends in unemployment? You should be able to tell the overall trend, the recent trends. You should be able to tell that what are the various trends of unemployment, right? What is the kind of employment structure that we are having? What is the meaning of employment structure? That more than 50% of India's population is still dependent upon agriculture for their source of livelihood, right? A very large section of society is dependent on agriculture, and agriculture is contributing very less to GDP. As a result of which there is a problem of poverty, as a result of which there is a problem of inequality, as a result of which there is a problem of lower standard of living of those people who are employed in agriculture, right? There is problem of increasing casualization. This is a recent trend which has been observed in the last 2 decades. There is an problem of increasing casualization. What is the meaning of casualization? That more and more jobs are getting created in the informal sector of the economy. Even within the formal sector, formal jobs are not getting created, informal jobs are getting created. So you should know what is the difference between formal jobs and informal jobs. You know that formal jobs are better paying jobs. You know that formal jobs are more secure jobs. You know that formal jobs are jobs in which your legal rights are protected. You know that informal jobs are lower paying jobs, are exploitative jobs, are jobs जिसका कोई रिकॉर्ड नहीं है, जिसमें कोई लीगल चीज फॉलो करी जा रही नहीं करी जा रही, उसकी कोई गारंटी नहीं है, right? So that is the problem, that even India's largest multinational companies, even governments of India, government of India and governments of state, they are employing people on a short-term basis. They are employing people on contractual basis, right? So that is the meaning of increasing casualization. So even if jobs are getting created, jobs are in the informal sector, or a lion's share of jobs are in the informal sector, as a result of which my source of livelihood is very precarious, my source of livelihood is very unsustainable, right? So that is a problem. And what has been the impact of policy of liberalization on rural and urban employment? You should be able to tell, because after 1991 reforms, we have been able to achieve higher rates of growth. But have we been able to create as many jobs as we would have liked? No. How many jobs have we been able to create? Right? So all those things need to be discussed in detail, something which we have discussed. So these are some of the very important things that we need to know. What is the issue of jobless growth? I told you earlier that this is a very, very important issue. Right? That what is the issue of jobless growth? What is the meaning of jobless growth? Right? आपको डेफिनेशन मालूम होना चाहिए हर चीज का. ट्रेंड क्या है जॉबलेस ग्रोथ का? व्हाट इज द रीजंस? सर्विसेज सेक्टर के अंदर ग्रोथ है, जॉब नहीं है. एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर के अंदर जॉब है, ग्रोथ नहीं है, तो डिस्गाइज अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट है. मैन्युफैक्चर के अंदर ना ग्रोथ है ना जॉब्स है, right? So what are the various reasons for this jobless growth? That we are having growth in India thanks to the booming service sector that India has been having, but we are not having as many jobs as we would like to have, right? What is the solution? क्या कर सकते हैं so that की issue of jobless growth को we are able to resolve, right? We should probably enhance skills of the workforce, right? So that appropriate skills are available in the country, so that investments can come, right? Investments can be done and appropriate manpower is available to be able to function in our factories or to be able to function in our workshops or in our offices. We need to undertake labor law reforms, right? So that it becomes easier for the employer to rationalize the workforce as per the order book. So if the order book has increased, there are good number of orders, so the employer will be able to hire more. And if the order book has shrunk and if there are lesser orders, so employer is able to reduce the workforce. As per the business cycle, employer will be able to generate employment. We should be able to give that kind of flexibility. If we don't want to give that flexibility, fine, don't give. Some other country will give flexibility. So that country will get investment, your country will not get investment. बैठे रहो, है ना? So we need to work on labor law reforms. We need to increase female labor force participation rate. In India, we have the distinction of having a very good section of, a huge chunk of women who are highly qualified, who are graduates and postgraduates. Probably India has the highest number of graduates, postgraduates in the world, right? But where do we stand so far as female labor force participation rate is concerned? At the bottom of the ladder we stand. Why? Because our entire social structure does not allow women to enter the workforce. शादी होते ही we want them to leave jobs, बच्चा होने के पहले we want them to leave jobs, बच्चा होने के बाद तो definitely we want them to leave jobs. Many times they themselves don't want to do jobs because इतना झंझट है जॉब करने के अंदर की, क्या बताऊं. Are you getting my point? So the idea is that we need to increase female labor force participation rate, otherwise this problem of jobless growth will not go away. We need to undertake rural transformation and we need to give a fillip to the agriculture sector. Why? Because still 70% mota moti of the population is residing. I know that the number is 67 or 68%. I know that, but still, let us say a huge chunk of India's population is residing in rural areas. So until and unless we are able to create jobs in rural areas, we will not be able to resolve this issue of jobless growth. We need to invest in health, education, police and judiciary, because if there is good healthcare, good education system, good police and judiciary, यानी कि good rule of law है आपके economy के अंदर, so health, education, police, judiciary अच्छा होने की वजह से these are supporting factors. This will attract investment from all across the world. If you have a good ecosystem, right, it will attract investment from all across the world. Just having good roads and good power lines and good water lines is not sufficient. Just giving land at throwaway prices is not sufficient to attract investment. In the long term, it is definitely not possible. You need to have a good entire ecosystem, and that ecosystem can be created through good healthcare, good education, and so on and so forth. We need to focus on cluster development, right? So for example, we have these special economic zones. How good have our special economic zones been performing? Recently in the budget, government said that they want to establish mega textile parks, Mitra or something. You need to read that also. I will discuss that with you also, right? So these are some of the things that you should know so far as jobless growth is concerned. Then what are the various measures to reduce unemployment? We need to increase aggregate demand, because when demand will increase, production will increase, jobs will get created, unemployment will go down. We need to spend on infrastructure and public works projects. So India is committing to spend on, let us say, economic corridors, on creation of national highways, so all these things you should be able to cite, right? We have to put into place better training programs. So you need to be able to cite Skill India mission. We need to provide support to small and medium scale enterprises, right? So you should be able to talk about PLI, that is production linked incentive scheme over here. We should provide unemployment benefits to those who are unfortunate to become unemployed for various reasons. So here you can talk about your Atal Bimit Vyakti Kalyan Yojana. Let us say that they ask you that what are the steps, various schemes that have been launched at various points of time to reduce unemployment. So you should be able to give a historical overview, starting with TRISEM, RCT, Manrega, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, Startup India, Stand Up India. You should be able to cite these various schemes. Obviously, we have covered all these schemes as a part of our course, right? So you should be able to link current affairs with theory. So let us say that they ask you what is the way forward. In any answer, you should give an optimistic solution, right? Don't be a pessimist. Don't say कुछ नहीं हो सकता, छोड़ के चले जाओ अमेरिका सब लोग. Don't say that, है ना? Give a positive solution. Give an optimistic solution. So give a boost to the labor-intensive manufacturing, public investment, decentralization of industrial activities. These are the key words that should be there in your answer. Trust me, no examiner wants to read your answers. Trust me, no examiner has the time to read your answers. And trust me, most of the examiners do not have the willingness to read your answers, because checking answers is a very, very boring task, right? That's a truth. It's a truth, whether anybody likes to hear it or not, but it's a truth. So you have to make examiner's life easy. So if you are asked a question on any aspect of unemployment, ये सारी चीजें आपको मालूम रहनी चाहिए, and ये सारे keywords को आप रख के you should be able to convince the examiner to give you marks. And I'm telling you, if the examiner can spot the keywords, spot the key ideas, they are more than happy to give marks. Why is it that they will not want to give marks? They are there to give marks. You should be able to get those marks out of the examiner. And you can do that by providing points. Measures to reduce unemployment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, done. क्यों मार्क्स नहीं देगा आपको, राइट? व्हाट आर द कॉजेज ऑफ अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, डन. क्यों मार्क्स नहीं देगा आपको? 100% मार्क्स देगा. बट यू शुड नो ऑल दीज थिंग्स. ठा 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 आपको बताना आना चाहिए. एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी हैव डन इन अवर कोर्स, दैट वी हैव प्रोवाइडेड यू द एंटायर फॉर्डर मटेरियल रिक्वायर्ड टू बी एबल टू आंसर क्वेश्चंस व्हिच कैन बी अपीयरिंग इन द एग्जामिनेशन. That is something that we have done. So I hope that this is very, very clear to you, right? I'm requesting all of you who are participating in this live session, right, that please give me a feedback that मैंने आपको, I've explained to you, I've given you a bird's eye view, as they call it, of poverty alleviation and employment generation. Now I'm going to discuss a question with you, right? I'm going to discuss a question with you, and I'm going to give you some time, 2 minutes, right? Let's start commenting. That the question is, increasing unemployment in India reveals that we are not able to put our demographic dividend to good use. Discuss this. This is the question. Pradeep Singh, I request you that please do not spam the chat, right? You're sharing some emojis which is absolutely meaningless and useless as a part of this discussion. So I request you to please sort of not do this and focus in a more very productive manner on this session, right? चलिए, so बता दीजिए कि what are the various just hold on, right? So the idea is that please share with me what are your thoughts so far as everything that we have discussed, and also share your ideas as to how would you want to approach this kind of question that can appear in the examination, right? Adolf Hitler, as well as Sewali, as well as Rishabh Gupta, Asha Gupta, as well as Sachin Desale, Shweta Singh, Agam Preet, Asha Gupta, Atulya Nair, Anurag Patil, right? Manoj, as well as Shri Ambone, right? I request all of you for your comments as to how would you like to approach this question of increasing unemployment in India, right? In India reveals that we are not able to put our demographic dividend to good use, right? Adolf Hitler is saying that, sir, is it essay writing of 300 words? See, it is not exactly essay writing of 300 words. The idea is that if they give you, let us say, a 15-mark question, and you are answering that 15-mark questions in, let us say, 230 words or maybe 240 words, okay? So within those 230 to 40 words, you should be able to address the needs of the question. For example, if you look at this question, increasing unemployment in India reveals that we are not able to put our demographic dividend to good use. So if you want to discuss this question, right, let me start the discussion of this question. So how would you like to introduce this answer over here, right? The answer you will be able to introduce, you should write an introduction saying that introduction should basically capture the twin aspects of this question. First aspect in your introduction should be that you should show that India's window of opportunity to enjoy its demographic dividend is there. You should be able to know what is the meaning of demographic dividend, and आपको बताना आना चाहिए कि yes, we have an window of opportunity, in the sense that we have a very young population. The average age of population in India is low, right? And that average, that population, right, can be put to good use, right? That population, if employed, can help in generation of production, can help in increase of India's GDP. So that is something that we need to point out. But the present reality is that demographic resource is lying idle because of increasing unemployment. So essentially what you are conveying to the examiner through your introduction is that you are telling him or her that you have understood the question. That is what the purpose of introduction always is, that you should be able to tell the examiner that you have understood the question, you have understood the demands of the question, right? And then you will be able to write the answer. So आपका introduction अगर अच्छा रहेगा तो examiner को convince हो जाएगा कि yes, this is going in the right direction. Reena, you are saying, can you explain demographic dividend? What is the meaning of demographic dividend? It's a very, very simple concept, demographic dividend. Demographic is something related to population. Dividend is something related to a gain, right? So because India's population is young, relatively India's population is young, the average age of India's population is low, right? That means that we have a huge chunk of population which can be productively employed for many decades, right? And since they can be employed productively for many decades, that means that they can help in production generation, right? They can help in expansion of GDP. They can contribute to government's tax revenues, right? That is what we are talking about when we say demographic dividend, that we have a huge chunk of our population which is young and which can be productively employed as a part of our economic growth process, right? So, but the problem is that having a resource is one thing, being able to utilize that resource is another thing. So we have people who are young, we have people who can be employed, but are they employed? Not really. Why? Maybe because of the various reasons that we have seen earlier, that okay, there is a lot of unemployment in India. So whenever they say कि आप discuss करो कोई भी चीज को, so you should be able to show a 360-degree overview of the subject that we are discussing. Whenever they say discuss, they could have straight away asked you what are the causes of unemployment. So you could have given the causes of unemployment. They could have easily asked you what are the measures to reduce unemployment. They could have given measures to reduce unemployment. But when they are asking you to discuss, right? So you have to put in various components. Components नहीं बदलेंगे, components वही रहेंगे. आपको 360-degree overview देना है इस पूरे टॉपिक का, राइट? बट आपको उसकी पैकेजिंग को चेंज करना पड़ेगा. तो पैकेजिंग के अंदर, इंट्रोडक्शन के अंदर आपको बताना पड़ेगा कि यस, इंडिया इज अ रिलेटिवली यंग कंट्री, इंडिया की एवरेज पॉपुलेशन की एज आप बता देंगे तो वो भी बहुत अच्छा रहेगा. एंड यू शुड बी एबल टू टेल दैट यस, देयर इज अ डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड अवेलेबल, but we are not able to use the demographic dividend. Why? Because of high unemployment rates that exist in India. What are the causes for high unemployment? I have already discussed that with you, right? Slow growth of GDP, rapid changes in technology, lack of capital, overpopulation, low level of education, poverty, poor performance of agriculture, jobless economic growth, joint family system, rush for government jobs. And you should then be able to suggest measures to reduce unemployment which have already been taken, right? That okay, these are the measures which have already been taken, and you should be able to give examples of current events. For example, Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program, for example, Atal Bimat Vyakti Kalyan Yojana, right? So this can become a part of your body. And going ahead, as a part of your conclusion, what you can state is that there will be a lot of negative consequences of unemployment. There will be a lot of negative consequences of not using our demographic resource appropriately, right? What will be the negative consequences? There will be increase in poverty, increase in inequality, low level of standard of living, less access to healthcare, social cost, loss of national output, fiscal cost. So these are going to be the consequences of not being able to use our demographic resource productively. And if we want to sort of avoid the above consequences, we need to be able to deploy our demographic resource effectively and efficiently, right? So you have to give a 360-degree overview of this entire concept when we are talking about this kind of a question. When we say that you have to discuss increasing unemployment in India, reveals that we are not able to put our demographic dividend to use. So you don't have to be unidimensional, you have to be multidimensional. So there can be two types of questions: a unidimensional question in which they very clearly ask you that what is it that they are expecting and आप बता दीजिए, and then there are relatively multidimensional questions like these ones जिसके अंदर you have to give a complete overview. How can you add value to your answers? How can you ensure that your answer stands apart from others, right? You should be able to cite some statistics, that what is India's population's average age, right? You should be able to quantify the demographic dividend that India will be able to enjoy. So that quantification can be done. We have discussed all of these things. You know that कि demographic dividend India का कितना है, क्या है. Unemployment का statistics you should be able to quote, that what is the exact unemployment statistic in India, how many people need jobs, what is the monthly addition of job seekers in India's economy, right? And how many jobs are we able to create? You should be able to cite various reports, and you should be able to offer schemes as suggested solutions, because those schemes have been started by Government of India so that we are able to create jobs in the country. This is how you have to approach a question like this, right? And if you can approach these kind of questions in this manner and you are able to write holistically, you'll be able to get average marks at least in the examination. The idea should be to get at least average marks in all the questions that we are attempting, so that we do not fall behind in the competition. And if we can perform above average in certain components of this examination, then we will be able to ensure our selection in the next round or in the round of interviews. So I hope that you are going to, there is a request that I am going to place over here, that please write this answer, increasing unemployment. Please type this answer, don't write this answer, please type this answer, and type this answer in comment section of this video. Right, that increasing unemployment in India reveals that we are not able to put our demographic dividend to good use, discuss. Right, so you can write a different answer also, like Anchit sir has said on various different occasions, that there is no one correct answer. It is not as if that what I have told you is the only way of writing the correct answer. No, you can write a answer as per your understanding, and that can also fetch you good marks. Right, but it is important to write answers. So please do type your answers as a part of the comment section. And one more question I'm going to present to you, which has been asked in the examination in the previous years, that India's concern with poverty alleviation has mostly remained at the rhetorical level. Explain. What is the meaning of this question? That India as a country has been concerned with poverty alleviation, बट जो हमारा कंसर्न है वो रिटोरिकल यानी कि बोल बच्चन है, बातें हैं. राइट, वी वैक्स एलिक्वेंट सो फार एज पॉवर्टी एलिविएशन इज कंसर्न, इन द सेंस दैट वी टॉक अ लॉट अबाउट पॉवर्टी एलिविएशन, but nothing much in reality has been done on ground. That is what the question is telling you, and you have to explain this statement in your own words. That is the question that I am placing to you in front of you as a homework question. Now before moving ahead, I would like to take all the doubts that you all are sharing. Right, Tanushri, India has 62.5% of population between the age of 15 to 59 years. Now, Tanushri Chaurasia has shared a very beautiful fact. If you can include this kind of a fact, that India has a 62.5% of population between the age of 15 to 59 years in your answer, so you will be able to convince the examiner that you are understanding what is the exact meaning of demographic dividend. Right, the fact that we have such a huge chunk of population, right, in productive age group का वाला years. So Tanushri का जो point है, that is a very good point, and these are the kind of value addition points that you all should be including in your answers. Right, sir, are we supposed to point out the drawbacks as well? What should be the tone of the writing? The overall tone of the writing should be optimistic and constructive. Right, do not be very negative. If they are asking you to identify the problems, right, but also offer some solutions, also offer some optimism. Right, always be solution oriented. Even if the question is demanding you to criticize, but criticize in a balanced manner. Right, always be a little optimistic, a little on the side of optimism, a little on the side of being constructive. Right, okay, Sharon, you're asking, sir, what will be the marks of single question? So they have said that you have to attempt 4 questions out of 6. So out of 6 questions, you have to attempt 4 questions as a part of the descriptive component. Right, so I have this thing that they have said that 15 marks questions will be asked and 10 marks questions will be asked. So probably they will ask 2 questions 15 marks, probably they will ask 2 questions 10 marks. ऐसे करके they may make up 15 marks, 50 marks total. Right, so that is something that I am guessing. They have not exactly said it, but that is something that I'm guessing, that agar 4 questions have to be attempted, then there will be questions of 15 marks and 10 marks. So how can we distribute? So 15 के 2 and 10 के 2, ऐसे करके 50 marks का आपको क्वेश्चन पूछे जा सकते हैं. तनुश्री, आपने बताया कि इंडिया है 62.5% of population between age of 15 to 59. Providing right infrastructure and skills will help India in booming manufacturing as well as service sector. So these are very good lines, Tanushri. These are very good words. Tanushri, it is my request to you and all other aspirants who are watching this video that please construct an entire answer, type it as a part of the comments to this video. That will be very, very helpful. Right? Vinay Jilapalli, sir, can we write the answers in terms of points? Yes, in my opinion, you can write answers in terms of points. Students, please note that you do not have to be grammatically 101% correct. You do not have to frame 101% complete statements or sentences as part of your answers. You can write in points. You can elaborate very briefly. You can keep things short and simple. I do not see that the marks will be cut, maybe because you are writing in points, or maybe because you are not giving complete sentences. I am not saying that, you should start writing in short forms. I am not saying that you write in abbreviations. I am not saying that you should write in code language, right? but there is no need, there is no complete need कि आपको you have to write 101% complete sentences and 101% complete grammar. No, you should be able to give the relevant points, right, as we have discussed with you, and I think that that will be fine. There will be no penalty for that in the examination. Generally speaking, in any exam in which you have descriptive type answers, if students have written in points, if students have not given complete statements and they are giving short statements only, I have not seen students being penalized for that. You are penalized or you are given less marks if you are not giving the complete answer to the question. That is when you are given less marks. You are not given less mark only because you have written in points. So keep that in mind. I hope Vinay this helps. Right, so this is something that we wanted to discuss. अगर आप लोगों के पास कोई भी और doubts है, right, so you all can share. Nishant Yadav, you are asking, so what type of question must be strictly answered in paragraphs? Whether you want to write in paragraphs or whether you want to write in points, that is a personal choice, right? So for example, questions in which, you know, they are asking you to, let us say, maybe share a lot of your opinion, or, you know, discussion oriented question, or maybe a definition oriented question, right? Maybe those kind of questions in which you do not have points to cite, in which you have to explain the problem, maybe, right, any problem, maybe, let us say, right? So in that sense you can write in, let us say, in paragraph forms. But where you have the ability and you have the competence and there is a need to write maybe 10 measures that the government has taken, or maybe 10 reasons for any problem, or maybe 10 probable solutions for any problem, so obviously you will not be able to write those 10 points in paragraph. So it makes sense to then write in points. So obviously introduction has to be in paragraph, obviously probably conclusion also has to be in paragraph. So certain part of your body can be written in points, because that will be helping you in showing the range of your knowledge to the examiner. Anchit sir in one of his videos was talking about showing the range of your knowledge. So if you want to show the range of your knowledge, by writing in points you can very clearly show the range of your knowledge, right? So keep that in mind. It depends upon the need of the question, and also depends upon your style of writing as to whether you want to write in points or whether you want to write in paragraphs, right? Shivangi, your question is, if we have a contrary point of view then that is asked in the question, then should we explain our point of view as well? In a 15-mark question where the requirement is there to offer multiple points of view, please offer multiple points of view. But it is very important to note one thing over here, that you have to write as per the need of the question. Just because I have read something, right, and just because I like it, and just because I have prepared it and I have worked hard to prepare those points, right, and a question is there in the exam but it is not related to those points, and I anyhow write those points. Why? Because I want to write those points. Why? Because that is my only chance to write those points. I will never get a chance to write those points ever again, right? That is not the right approach, right? Just because I have good points and which are irrelevant for the question, and just because I want to write it, I am writing it, examiner will not offer me any good marks, rather I will be penalized for it. So write as per the need of the question. Write those points which are relevant, and please avoid writing irrelevant points or irrelevant point of views which have not been asked. पूछा है तो बताओ, नहीं पूछा है तो आगे बढ़ो, दूसरे क्वेश्चन को अटेम्प्ट करो. That is what I would like to say, Shivangi, for your first question. Right. Second, as asked in this question, if we think that the government has done a lot for poverty alleviation, we can see results that should be stressed upon. 100% you should stress upon something which is positive. Positive लिखने से ना घबराएं, negative लिखने से घबराएं. Don't become too critical, right? You can always take a contrary stand provided it is the correct stand. Like for example, Shivangi, you have said that we have been able to pull 271 million people out of poverty. So this is a very good statistics. आपको ये प्रकार की statistics को कोट करना आना चाहिए. I am sure, Shivangi, that you have been preparing your GA, your ESI का current affairs वाला points very strongly, because this kind of question can appear in ESI objective कि how many people as per MPI India has been able to pull out of poverty. Answer is 271 million. So if they are asking you a question related to poverty alleviation, and if you are able to cite this quote, cite this data that 271 million people have been pulled out of poverty, that is excellent usage of current affairs का knowledge in descriptive answer writing. please note, my friends, that you all have been preparing very hard for your current affairs ESI, very hard for your current affairs ka FM and everything. Use that knowledge over here, right? But don't just use data. Don't just give data after data after data. You have to put that data in the framework. So this framework that I have discussed with you, this framework has to be used, and you can strengthen this framework. You can solidify this framework by putting in the data, by putting in reports, by putting in schemes, which you all have already studied as a part of your current affairs ka objective wala preparation. So use your strengths and use this framework to be able to write good convincing answers in the examination, right? Adolf Hitler, your question is, sir, what should I read so that I can give an impressive answer? You should read EduTap ka course if you want to give impressive answers. With this, I'll bring this session to an end. I'm hoping that you all will write answers to these 2 questions that I have offered to you and put it in the comment section of this video. See you again soon with another chapter, with another discussion, which will give you an overview of the entire chapter and will discuss as to how we should write answers. Thank you very much. All the very best and Jai Hind.